What's up everyone, Brandon here from Gearist, and today we're going to introduce you to the brand new free RN Flyknit from Nike. Recently, Nike has revamped their naming situation that they do around their free shoes. Now, it used to be you have the 3.0, 4.0, or 5.0, this guy right here being the 4.0, depending on how much cushioning a particular shoe provides. Now, however, Nike has taken, instead of the material underfoot, they've gone with a more uniform stack height, and based on specific technologies, they've differentiated the amount of cushioning underfoot by a name. This being the free RN, there's the free RN motion, and the free RN distance. And so today, we're going to be looking at the free RN Flyknit. Now, typically we break down the outsole and the midsole, but since the whole entire sole unit is so intrinsically linked with each piece of itself, I feel like it's worth talking about the whole thing as one instead of breaking it down into individual pieces. If you've ever used a Nike Free shoe in the past, then you know the really very smooth and supple texture of that outsole slash midsole material right through here. It's lighter than traditional blown or carbon rubber, but it's also more durable than just foam itself. It's not unlike something like Skechers Resilite or something like that. The only place that rubber really actually shows up are these little pods back here on the heel and then right up here on the toe. Those are places where obviously there's going to be a little bit more friction for a lot of people, not always of course, but so that's where they've decided to put rubber in this shoe. Now the foam of the midsole, I'm gonna have to read this because it's a mouthful. The foam of the midsole is next gen fused lunar core with an injected IU002 foam and for updated cushioning. So what does all that mean? We're going to talk more about that in the ride, but from a durability perspective, with about 40 miles on this, there is very little wear except for right here under the first metatarsal head. That is where I see any significant wear. I mean, yeah, it's dirty and things like that, but that's just kind of the general nature of running around in a white shoe. But right here is the only place where I really see wear, and that even is not that much. The truly interesting part of this sole unit and what is the new deal with this is the integration of Nike's new auxetic tri-star geometry. Auxetic is a term that refers to a material, often foam, that actually gets thicker or wider when perpendicular force is applied. So if you take a foam and you pull it this way, it's actually going to get wider this way instead of thinner like you might expect. It's kind of a counterintuitive, kind of a cognitive dissonance when you see this actually happen. Here's actually a short clip, not of Nike material, but something showing you that auxetic action in something. But what does this mean in terms of running? Well, it means that these cuts in the sole here along the kind of diagonal and sagittal axes on this, which you can see right here when we open it wide and bend it and all that kind of stuff. What this means is that when the runner applies force to this and the shoe expands this way, the material underfoot actually maintains its depth, it maintains its stack, and in some cases may even increase that stack, which provides a good amount of cushioning underfoot, which is a uniform cushioning no matter what part of the gait cycle you're in. This also means that this shoe can be much more minimal, as is the entire case of the whole Nike Free line, without sacrificing too much of the cushioning that other people may be looking for. Now let's move into the upper of this guy, and I have long held that the uppers of the Nike Free, the Flyknit uppers on these guys, are some of the absolute best, if not the best for me, the most comfortable that I have ever tried on. Continuing that trend, this guy is made from a single seam Flyknit upper, and that seam runs basically from the first eyelet to just in front of the heel right here. The front 2/3 of the upper, as you can see here, is kind of this ribbed Flyknit that you see right there, which provides a good deal of stretch where it needs to be and a more static mesh where it doesn't. So right here where you want that more control, it's a more static and not as movable mesh. But then up here over the vamp, you can probably see just how much that stretches up right there, which gives ample wiggle room, which we'll talk about in the fit. The rear 30 of the upper, this is a much more static mesh for the large majority. There is stretchiness up around the top and around the collar, which makes it fit really nicely to the foot. But this material right around here is very static, which gives it that structure in the rear foot without sacrificing any flexibility. The lacing system on this guy is Nike's Flywire lacing system. You can see those orange pieces right there. It's kind of a ghillie system that comes up and it actually wraps under the foot, so you get this really cohesive wrap, which is enhanced by the amazing stretch and fit of this upper. From the second I put this thing on, the upper feels just amazing. I mean, I really truly love the way it feels. It feels honestly like you're putting on just a comfortable sock. That one seam again that runs right here didn't provide any chafing even when I was barefoot, totally barefoot, though I really don't run barefoot very often. It was just mainly for a test thing. Also enhancing this is a tiny bit of stretch in the laces. Not much, not very much at all, just a little bit, which would combine with the fly wire and the upper, that whole cohesive thing just really cradles the foot nicely inside of here. Since we just talked about the upper, it only makes sense to move right into the fit of this guy. If you're someone who usually hammers down in their laces, which you should never do for myriad reasons, if you'd like to know why, just ask info@gearist.com. I'll be happy to let you know. But if you're somebody who does that, then this might be a little bit of getting used to. It's going to be a different experience for you. As I told you a second ago, this thing fits really like a comfortable sock, and it gives where it needs to, but it's also pretty static where it needs to. What's interesting is that you don't feel this need like you're sliding forward and like you really have to hammer down on the laces, and even if you do, it's going to hug your foot so much that it's really probably going to cut off your circulation. So what I would suggest is just tighten the laces to where they're just holding the foot in place and not really holding the foot in place. Really allow the hug of the fabric, the Flyknit, and the laces to do their job, and don't feel like the tension on the laces needs to be the thing that does that. Well, let's move into the Toebox real quick. If you're a frequent reader or subscriber, which please subscribe to our channel of Gearist, then you know what a stickler I am for toe boxes. First, across the metatarsals, right across here, this provides a lot of room. Very, very comfortable, ample room for the foot to spread. In fact, if you have a low volume or narrow foot, you may actually find it feels a bit wide right here, but again, the sensation of the upper should account for some of that. The toe box itself, as you can see here, very, very foot shaped. It's really almost like sort of square looking. It's fantastic. It feels great on my foot. Lots of vertical wiggle room thanks to the stretch and the mesh. Lots of room for splay. But here's where I will talk about sizing a little bit. This is a size 11 for me, and it fits fine. I don't have any problems with it, but there is plenty of room on the end. So if you feel like you're on the fence in between sizes, definitely go to the smaller of those sizes because you may feel like there's almost too much room. Again, this upper covers myriad sins in that case. It covers the fact that you may have a little bit more room because it hugs that foot so nicely. But just keep in mind that you may want to get a half size down if you're on the fence in between sizes in there. Since its launch, the Nike Free Ride has been something that's kind of a point of contention for a lot of people. The biggest reason for that is that some people got into this shoe from a really built up shoe and just went on running as normal. Now the problem with that is that your feet aren't that strong. So what happens? You get tired or worn out feet because your feet just get fatigued after having to use a shoe that essentially puts your foot on the ground. Your foot is at the forefront rather than the shoe and the foot being in the forefront. What should have happened, and what should happen if you decide to get this shoe and it's your first kind of more really flexible and almost minimalist shoe, that you should take your time to let that foot get strengthened like any other muscle, like when you first started running. Let me take a quick sidebar to address something about the minimalist movement, which seems to be waning these days. The whole minimalism thing, I don't think has really gone away. I think the terminology has gone away because some of those things that the minimalist movement of the past 7 or 8 years has brought about are now integrated fully into the regular everyday running shoe line. So it was interesting because those were things that brought about evolution. And now we see pretty minimalist shoes in almost every running shoe brand's arsenal, and they're just not called minimalist anymore. So really kind of interesting thing. The ride of this guy to me feels a little bit more cushion than the Free 4.0 Flyknit, which I showed you a second ago. I think the reason for this is twofold. Number one, that new auxetic tri-star geometry, which Nike has here. This guy, this flexibility and all these cuts and the way the foam acts down there. But the other reason is that they've shaved down their midfoot bump. Now in the Free 4.0 Flyknit, there was a little bit of a bump right here. It actually felt like a bump, quite big bump if you had flatter feet to some people, right in that midsole, right in the midfoot rather. And it gave you this sense that it was kind of hard in that area because it would stop the foot. In this case, it's been shaved down very flat on the inside, which I love, and it allows that foot to work. I do love the amazing flexibility in the shoe in the 24 millimeter up here, 16 millimeter up here, which makes a net drop of 8 millimeters in the shoe. Doesn't bother me at all, even though it is above my 6 millimeter kind of preferred area down there. Doesn't bother me at all, and that flexibility really enhances that. My men's size 11 came right in at 9 ounces on the nose per shoe, and while that's not the lightest thing in the world, I have to say that the way this fits, just like a sock, it just disappears on your foot. So who cares? I mentioned in another recent review that I'd kind of seen an uptick overall in the pricing of running shoes lately. And this guy, where the Free 4.0 Flyknit came in at $120, this comes in at $130. While I'm not super turned off by that price at all, and I think it is certainly worth it, I do think that the $120 price feels a little more approachable just because it's $10 cheaper, and that $120 mark seems to be a pretty big kind of benchmark for people. If you like a lot of flexibility and a shoe that's not going to give you a bunch of material pop, but rather is going to put that foot on the ground and ask your body to give you that pop and that response back, this is definitely a shoe that you should be taking a look at. Anybody that's looked at a Flyknit upper without actually putting it on, I mean, take the leap, man. Put on the Flyknit. Just put it on your foot. You don't have to buy it, just put it on. It's unbelievable the way this thing feels. Nike's done a really great job here, and to be honest, keeping this off your feet even when you're not running, kind of your errand running, kicking around shoe, that's going to be the real challenge of this shoe, because the comfort and the amount of cushion and that just really just nice, and I don't want to say barefoot because it's not a barefoot feel, even though that's kind of the way that the Free line sets itself up. It just really feels very good. It's just good. Guys, before we get to our question of the day, please don't forget to like and favorite this video and subscribe to our channel. And also, key among these things is sharing it with your friends. That would mean a lot to us. Please share it on your Facebook, share it on your Twitter. Hell, share it on your Instagram. Take a screenshot of me going like this and put it on your Instagram. That would be fantastic. And use the hashtag I'mAGearist, I'mAGearist. And now, here is our question of the day for you guys, which is, have you tried any of the Nike Flyknit uppers? Not fly mesh, but actually true Flyknit. If you haven't, let us know why. And if you have, let us know what you thought down in the comments section below. Or reach out to us on all our social media outlets, which you see here on my right, your left, including Strava, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. On all these things, please use the hashtag I'mAGearist. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Just click that little button down there that says YouTube. That would be amazing. Thank you so much. Once again, thank you guys so much for spending a few minutes with us today, supporting Gearist and helping us past 10,000 subscribers and over 1.2 million views. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you next time.